Welcome back to the secret underground lair. Time for the belt sander on the top of our pedestal table. And we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to flip it over, we'll put it back on the work table and use the Bedrail Router Sled to do the underside and get that smooth, because that's way more than a belt sander will do. So today is finishing the top. Well, rough finishing the top. Let's call it that. Rough finishing. Away we go. So after just a little bit of sanding, I'll show you what this surface is going to start to look like. We do have some interesting coloration here, so happy with that. Let me bring you over for a close look. So it smooths out very nicely. I like that for a surface. Of course, we'll need to go over the rest of it, but yeah, some good variation in color. Glad we spread the pieces around as much as it did. And yeah, the edge will be a little bit rough, but got time to finish that. So I'll just carry on with the belt sander. I'll spin this around a little bit and go over the whole top. So there we are. I'm really happy with the result of that. That has come out very nice. One little blemish is right in here. Might require a little extra attention. I'm not sure what I'll do with that. I'll probably wait until putting in a plug here in the middle. Might make that about maybe a 1-inch circle or something, but we'll come to that in a little while. So next step in the operation is going to be flipping the table over, put it on the work table, and run the Bedrail Router Sled over to even up the bottom side. So we'll get all that set up and come back when we're ready to take up that operation. So I've got the piece now set up on the router sled, and what I did notice is that on the table itself has a little bit of a, from the top side, it dips into the middle. So I'm pushing it out just a little bit so it lies flat on the table. I have this clamp here, or this bar across here kind of wedged down, just to kind of push it down flat. It's just a little bit of flexibility in these joints. And then what I'm going to do is cut off a bunch of this side. I'll move this clamp over here and then finish up on this side. So I'll put you on time lapse as we go through this process. So this portion of the table has turned out very well. So now what I want to do is move this clamping bar over to this side, and then I can finish off this half of the table. All right, I'm very pleased with the result of that operation. Have a little bit of a remnant here. I left about a 32nd of an inch on this side of that bar that I had, but that'll come off with the belt sander, even up very nicely. Yeah, so that's the next step. We'll just put this on the belt sander, put this under the belt sander, get a nice finish on here. And we got to cut it round. But first, a bite of lunch. So there is the underside of our coffee table now sanded, ready for a finer sanding. But before we get into that, we're going to cut it round. I'm going to do that operation on the table saw. Let me get set up and I'll show you what I have in mind here. All right, I got another jig in the works here. So what I've got is just a little strip that fits nicely into that slot, the miter slot. And I have put 2 screws in it, just sitting up a little bit proud. Next, what I've done is I've taken a piece of MDF. This is about 24 inches wide, and I want to set that right up tight against the blade. And I've got it square against the back edge of the table saw here. Gave it a couple taps, and that gave me exactly where these screws are lining up. So I drilled out those screws, those holes now for the screw, and I'm just going to screw this piece into the MDF, and that will keep this MDF straight. I can put just one clamp here and keep it secure. This is going to be a circle jig. I'm going to put a nail through here, and that'll come through into the surface of the table. And I'm going to spin the table on this. Okay, that keeps our circle jig anchored securely on the table saw. Now I just need to get this measurement out here, which will be the pivot point for the table. I was originally hoping to have that table 36 inches in diameter, but a couple of the wedges that I cut were a little short, so it's going to wind up being 34 inches. Not a big deal, just slightly smaller than it was originally planned. But next time around, I'll make sure I get that extra inch. So if I put my pivot nail right here, then we're going to be in good shape. So let me figure that part out next. So I'm using this nail. This is a little bit overkill. It's a 2.5 inch finishing common nail. I drilled a hole through here so that this will stick up through it. And I'm just going to drill a hole now through the center of the table, the center of the tabletop. This will come up through that center hole, and then it should spin nicely on this little jig here. And our table will now just spin, like so. Perfect. I'm just going to apply a clamp here, then we can turn on the saw and just raise the blade slowly, and we'll get a perfect circle. He said confidently. And I just put a mark there to indicate where I'm starting. Sometimes it's a little confusing when you go all the way around, can't remember how far you've gone. So when I have made one full revolution, and I can raise the blade a little bit. And there we have it. I made one of those cuts. I came up a little bit too fast, and hence all the burning and the smoke you see here. So from subsequent pass, I just came up one turn of the handle at a time. That's given us a nice, very round tabletop. Let me take this off the jig here and we'll see what we get. I like the look of that. And we'll do a little bit of sanding on that edge and kind of get rid of the burn marks. Trim up the rough cut on the outside. That's looking nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Just for fun, I'm going to set it on top of the pedestal and get a good look at it. That's what it's going to look like. Sitting nicely on our little pedestal. So as I said, the next step will be clean up these edges. And then we're going to put a little center plug in here. Not a big one, just a little one. Just to kind of make those edges look a little better. So a little more sanding. We're getting close to final sanding and assembly. So the last little bit that I want to get done today is take care of this center. So to do that, I'm taking a 3/4 inch Forstner bit, and I'm just going to drill a little hole here about the depth of the head, maybe a little bit less. And now I have a hole saw that I've put into the drill press. It's going to cut a hole, an outside, a diameter of about 1 inch, a little bit less than 1 inch. And then we're going to use the belt sander and trim that down a bit. Let me cut that blank, I'll come right back. So here's our rough blank, cut it with a hole saw without the center drill bit, so there's no hole in the middle. What I'm going to do now is just drill a little hole in here, a pivot hole. I'm going to put a screw in it. And I just need that to be in about the middle. There's nothing super fantastic about that. And I'm taking a screw, for which I have cut off the head of this screw. I'm just going to put that in there. Need some pliers to get that in. And now I can mount that in the drill and hold it up against the belt sander and get that shaped into the right size plug for this hole that we just put in here. Let's go over to the belt sander. Taking it out of the drill, we have a little plug that just sits in here, and because it's a bit of a taper, as it goes in it self-centers and closes in. So I'm going to take that little screw out again. So we'll just put a little bit of glue around that, tap it in, then we can cut it off. And because I made this out of relatively thick stock, this hole that I put in here is not going to be visible because it only goes down a little way. That's my theory. Just snugs right in nicely. Let's get rid of some excess glue. We're going to use a flush trim saw and cut that off. There we have our little donut in the center of the table. That kind of cleans up all those points that are coming together, and where they weren't exactly right, they're, well, no, you'd never know. So we are now ready for some final sanding on this table. I'm going to call that a video for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.